So today we're going to be going over 5 cheap fragrances that smell expensive. Pretty simple concept here, and I don't really think this one needs to be explained. Actually, I think I'm going to explain it anyway, because there are 2 different ways this video can go. One way is that it could be cheap fragrances, very affordable scents that even though they come in at a low price point, they smell like they could command a higher price point. And the second way that this could go is that it could be essentially cheaper alternatives to expensive designer and niche fragrances, so kind of more in a clone direction. This video here is focusing on the former. At some point in the future I am going to do a video like I just mentioned where I'll be giving you some cheap alternatives to expensive designer and niche fragrances, but this is not that video. This is just fragrances that come in at a low price point on discounters, but in my opinion they smell like they could be going for a much higher price. This is great for people out there who don't want to drop a whole bunch of coin on a fragrance and they want something that is of high quality and they just don't want to pay a whole bunch of money. I'm going to hook you guys up with 5 scents that will do just that for you. Let's jump right into it. First up, Azzaro Pour Homme Intense. Now, depending on the discounter that you shop with, depending on what way the wind is blowing on that particular day, this one will fall somewhere around $40, sometimes a bit less, maybe sometimes a bit more. That's pretty much the cap for this video. $40 and under is kind of what I was aiming for. And I will link this along with everything else I talk about down below in the video description so you can take advantage of these prices that I'm referencing. This one has cinnamon, brandy, lavender, some other warm spicy notes in here. This is one that blew my mind. I knew it was going to smell nice for sure. Azzaro doesn't put out bad scents, but when I smelled this for the first time, I knew immediately that it was something special. It wasn't just a flanker that they put out and said, okay, here's something for you. Go smell that for a while and then we'll release another one the next year. This had some thought behind it. There was a good amount of planning behind it, I can tell. And there was overall just an idea behind this scent. It smells incredible, very well executed. Whoever had creative direction of this decided, hey, let's sit down and kind of play off the original Azzaro Pour Homme DNA, but add a bit of a warm, spicy, kind of rum, boozy accord in there, while still kind of keeping it an aromatic fougere style scent. You don't get that all that often. Most aromatic fougere barbershop scents are just that, nothing else. This one really puts a nice twist, a nice spin on that DNA and on the original Azzaro Pour Homme. Again, at the price point that this one comes in at, it is an absolute steal. And for me in fall and especially wintertime, this is one of my heavy go-tos. This will be in my rotation a whole bunch because it smells incredible, especially at this price point. You can't go wrong with it. Next up, we have a scent from a big designer brand, Versace The Dreamer. So normally Versace fragrances come in around $45, $50, essentially that mid-range designer price tier. This one comes in at quite a bit less than that. I want to say, depending on the deal, $29, $30, that sort of thing. And that depends on if you get a tester, a full presentation, bottle size, all of that good stuff. But if you shop smart, you can get this one at a cheap price. And coming from a brand like Versace, that doesn't happen all that often. Dylan Blue, Eros, Versace Pour Homme, Versace Pour Homme Oud Noir, all of those bestsellers, $50 or more, or I'm just kind of right around that $50 mark in general. This one here has lavender, it's got tobacco, there's some florals, there's just a typical aromatic foundation in this. It's so clean, it is so fresh, it's kind of powdery, it's a little bit soapy. This is timeless. This smells gorgeous. From opening to dry down, I love this stuff. When you compare this up against Eros, Dylan Blue, that sort of thing, people aren't even going to know what this is in comparison to those because those are talked about all the time. And these days, they're not really giving a whole lot of love to this one. But I'm here to say that for the price, this is incredible. If this one comes in at around $30, I think that this could easily smell like it would command the price of the other Versaces I was mentioning, and honestly, a little bit more money than that. This has a high-end, expensive, soapy smell to it, and the fact that you can get this one for the price that it comes in at, in my opinion, is quite a bargain. Next up, a scent that is around, I want to say $20, somewhere around in there, Rochas Man. So I featured this one in my top 5 coffee fragrances video. If you missed that one and you're interested, you can check that out here on the channel. This came in at one of the cheapest, if not I think it was the cheapest coffee fragrances in that video. And it made the video for a reason, because this is absolutely incredible. So it's kind of a cappuccino note, but it still gives off a similar thing. A roasted coffee cappuccino, sweet, smooth, inviting, sexy smell. It's got a gourmand quality, obviously. It's very alluring. This stuff is incredible. This is another one where I was extremely impressed when I smelled it. You know, when you're looking at this price point, things can go a couple different ways. Something could be nice, you know, it smells good, cool, you know, it just kind of exists. There can be fragrances that suck. They smell terrible, the quality's bad, and you get a lot of that in this price point. And then sometimes, on a rare occasion, you get a gem like this, which absolutely knocks it out of the park. This, to me, is one that I would pay $40, $50 for if I had to. Personally, I think it smells that expensive. I think this can really kind of hang as being a really nice coffee fragrance if you're on a budget, but you don't want to spend the money on the niche coffee scents or the higher end designer ones. This one will get you by, and you'll be smelling just about as good as those more expensive ones. This stuff is awesome. Can't recommend it enough. Next up, Dunhill Icon. So these days on discounters, these Dunhill Icon flankers come in at a really, really good price. And the original here does as well. It's got neroli, there's some citrus, musk. Essentially, this one has very much a fizzy grape smell. Like there's a grape soda type of smell about this. And when you hear about that and you haven't smelled this before, you're probably like, yeah, right, it can't smell like grape soda. But when you get it, and you spray it, and you smell it, then you're kind of like, oh wait, maybe it can. Now, I don't know if they were intending to do this. I think maybe it happened by accident, but you can pick up on it. And once you notice it, you can't unnotice it. Just smelling it up in the air right now, it's fresh, it's vibrant, it's sparkling, it's bright, it's juicy. This is incredible and is completely 100% one of a kind on its own. There's nothing else out there that smells like Dunhill Icon. And this is another scenario where when you're in this price point, a lot of things may start to smell similar, but this one is off doing its own thing. So if you're after something unique for spring, fall, even summer, if you wanted to, Dunhill Icon is a really nice option. It could be a great signature scent, great for any guy of any age, good performer, good quality, and it smells expensive and high-end without actually being expensive and high-end. And last up, a fragrance that I've been talking about a lot lately, but I had to put it in here anyway. I'm sorry, it's been a familiar face on the channel, but it had to be Bentley For Men Absolute. Cedarwood, papyrus, pink pepper, I believe, are some of the main notes. Dry, woody, strong, masculine sexiness right here. It's quite similar to Gucci Pour Homme, the original, unfortunately discontinued. This is going to be the closest thing you can get to it without buying that Gucci, which is now incredibly expensive on eBay. Personally, I say save your money and grab this. You could grab like probably 5 bottles of this, or you could buy 1 bottle of Gucci Pour Homme. Take your pick. For me, I think I would stick with this one and buy a couple bottles of it. Not that you really need to buy a couple bottles of it. I mean, it's strong, and this is 100 ml, so just buy one. I'm just, proving a point here. I'm just trying to put this into perspective. That's just how expensive the original Gucci Pour Homme is. From quality to scent to performance to overall the uniqueness, I suppose, everything about this one is incredible. Obviously, this is not an original because it is essentially copying Gucci Pour Homme, but considering you can't buy that one anymore and they're borrowing heavily the ideas of that one, I'm gonna say that this is original now. You know why? Because Gucci, you messed up. You discontinued some of your best stuff. Gucci Pour Homme 1, Gucci Pour Homme 2, Gucci Pour Homme 3, Gucci Pour Homme 4, Gucci Pour Homme 5. Okay, they didn't have any of those after 2, but I'm sure if they did, they would discontinue them all. Gucci Rush, Gucci Envy, all of their good stuff, gone. Gucci Intense Oud, sitting right over there looking at me, same thing. It's dumb, so originality goes to Bentley. And with that, that's gonna end this video. That is 5 cheap fragrances that smell expensive. If you're on a budget and you don't wanna spend a whole bunch of money, but you want to smell high-end and refined, these fragrances here are going to accomplish exactly that. Remember, at retail prices, these are not cheap, so hit the links down below to shop with discounters. And if you want to get access to these videos in advance, if you want to see some vlogs, some day in the life content, and also some bonus top 5s and top 10s, check out the channel memberships. That will be linked down below, or you can hit the join button next to the subscribe button. If you join the second tier, that will get you access to the things that I just mentioned. And if you join the top tier, that will get you access to everything that I just mentioned there. But you will also have the ability to join a private chat room with me and the other members, so we can all chat one-on-one if you have any fragrance related questions, or I guess any questions in general. Like, nothing's off limits. I can't make any rules on what you can and can't say. Join up to the top tier. Chat with me, hang out with me one-on-one with the other members as well, and we'll have a good time. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.